Going live, going live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Causey's Classics, brought to you by Black Cat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. This is a show about classic comics, comics from the great eras gone by. I'm your host, Mark Causey. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fun things tonight. Got a special Marvel Disney Plus theme working. If you're interested in purchasing any of the books that we're going to be talking about this evening, open up another window. Go to black-cat-comics.com. Go to that left-hand pull down, click on shop. Go to Causey's Classics and get ready. And when I say make it live, hit refresh, and the book in my hand will magically appear on your computer screen. If you're interested in purchasing that book, go through the whole process. If you just leave it in your cart and you wait and Bob puts it in his cart and checks out, Bob's going to get the book and you're going to be very sad. So if you want to purchase the book, like I say, I'll say make it live. It'll appear. Go through the whole purchase, and then we'll get going with the next book. If you're not interested in purchasing any of the books tonight, that's fine. Sit back, relax. We're going to have a great conversation about some Causey's classics. I'm very, very excited about what goes on with Disney Plus. We all know about WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they just wrapped up Loki, which was amazingly awesome. The thing I've been super excited about from the very beginning was the announcement of What If. It's an animated thing with weekly features like they've been doing. And I'm super, super excited for a multitude of reasons. Number one, animated, right? Us comic book people love the animated stuff, going back to Batman the Animated Series or Super Friends or however far back you want to go. Comics and animation have been intertwined, and so it's really great to see them taking an animated approach to things. Second, and maybe more importantly, I'm a huge fan of the original series of What If comics, of all the various incarnations of What If comics. Marvel seems to bust out the line about every 5 years and does something really cool with it. So going to bring you a few classic comics from the original What If era, and I got a couple other classics sprinkled in there. So let's go ahead and get started. What If, as a series, both the animated feature and the comic series, pretty much the essence of it is that the watcher is telling you, the reader, that the multiverse exists, and let's take a look at other universes where things went differently than they did on the good old Earth 616. And that's, like I say, that branches out into infinite things. We're going to talk about some of those tonight. First on our list is What If the Phoenix Had Not Died? What If the Phoenix Had Not Died? This is What If Volume 1, number 27. And I'd like to start off with an X-Men book. I always like to start with something just fun to read and something super cool. I know there's lots and lots of X fans out there, and this is a good example of what the whole series is about, really. Everybody knows that the Phoenix died. Every comic book fan knows it. Certainly every X fan knows it. Now all the movie people know it. They've done 2 different Phoenix dies movies. So this is a story that's accessible to anyone, and you can see in this issue how it goes differently from the classic X-Men 137. And it's a lot of fun. Something I'll say that's a little spoilerlicious, is that kind of Twilight Zone-y. You often find in these What If books that things go even worse than they did in the original story. And this one is a really good example of that. So What If the Phoenix Had Not Died? It's not Chris Claremont and John Byrne like X-Men 137 is, but it is written by a woman named Mary Jo Duffy, who is really popular among us old schoolers and one of the great women of comics. And the artist's name escapes me, but it's will be on the screen. But there's some great art in here. I don't want to open it up because I don't want to mess it up too much. And I've only got a limited amount of time and lots of great books to talk about. So, X fans, this one's, I think, just like $15. It's a great read. All your favorite classic X-Men are in there. And like I say, if you're just want a little taste of what the What If series is all about, you can check this one out. So let's go ahead and make it live. for What If number 27. What if the Phoenix had not died? Should point out a couple of things. The 75-cent price tag is a little high for back in the day because they're double-sized and either ad-free or minimum ads. I don't exactly remember how it went, but I think, like I say, big double-sized books. Now, moving on to, what is classically considered one of the very best issues in the run, and for reasons that will become obvious once I show you the cover. This is What If Volume 1, number 35. What if Elektra had lived? You'll notice a kind of ongoing theme also in these what ifs, that it's a lot about living and dying, and because, that's what superhero comics is. You also see the little Yellow Jacket backup story. Okay, so what if Elektra had lived? This, of course, picks up from the tragic ending of Daredevil 181. Again, you've all seen the movie. I'm not spoiling anything by telling you. This one is written and drawn by the mighty Frank Miller, writer and artist of the original Daredevil 181. And so again, this one is very popularly considered one of the best of the run because it ties into one of the major events of the Marvel Universe, is done by the guy who did the original issue. And everybody kind of wanted to see at the time how this story played out. Because again, it was one of the huge events of comics. Isn't so much a huge event anymore because, everybody dies and comes back in comics. But at the time, the death of Elektra was a big deal. And seeing a kind of sequel to that was really cool. Again, written and drawn by Frank Miller. You get a little, what if Yellow Jacket had died back up? Really cool stuff. If you haven't read Daredevil 181, you need to. And like I say, this one is very often associated with the book. You see it turn up in trade paperbacks and things. Really cool book. Let's go ahead and make it live. So I think there's going to be a little fighting over this one. We've got it for $25. It's a really nice copy. I should say tonight, every book I've got in this stack is a really nice copy. I've got them listed for 8.0 because I don't like to fuss about grade, and I don't like people to get all picky with me. And so I list them as 8s. They're all at least 8s and better. And like I say, great copies, great books. I mean, Frank Miller. So fight for that one. Grab it quick. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here for just a second because, well, I got swept up in my love for Frank Miller. What can I say? So this guy is Daredevil 183. And if you're a regular in my store, or if you've ever been here the day after Comic-Con, you've seen this book on my back wall many times. The show's called Causey's Classics. I'm Causey. I do what I want. So I'm branching away from our theme just a little bit and talking about 2 issues after Daredevil 181 is Daredevil 183. And this is the first time Daredevil meets the Punisher. This book has become mildly key in the Punisher world, but it's just one of my favorite books of all time, one of my favorite covers of all time. Look at DD's back getting blown out there. This is Frank Miller at his finest. This is the Punisher tracking down like middle schoolers, and he's totally ready to like shoot kids because they're drug dealers. It's grim and gritty as the era was. And like I say, while I was mentioning a Frank Miller what if, I thought I'd just pop in another Frank Miller classic really quick. So if you love some Daredevil, if you love some Punisher, if you love some Frank Miller, if this one's not on your list or in your stack, pick it up.
First 2 already sold out.
Oh my goodness, I'm on a roll. The first 2 what ifs are already going. People are snatching them up because these are great books like this one. Let's go ahead and make this one live. Make it live. Daredevil 183. I picked this up from a 7-Eleven back in, 1981. And I dare say a 10-year-old me probably had no business reading a Frank Miller comic. And it still scars me to this day. So pick this up and enjoy it. Like all the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff. Like I say, I think that's Frank at his finest. Awesome stuff. So going to continue on a bit of a tangent, but I'm going to stay in my theme. We're going to get a little way away from What If, but I really wanted to bust out a Black Widow book tonight. I loved the movie. I hope you went and saw it. I hope you went to the theater, but if you caught it on the Disney Plus, hey, that's cool too. Again, thought it was really cool. So I wanted to sneak some Black Widow, but I wanted to get something a little away from the usual keys that you see, and find a kind of off-key, but a really, really cool book. This is Champions #1. Love me this book. Again, it's Causey's Classic. So I talk about books that mean something to me. And this is super cool. I'm a big team guy. So I love the Avengers. I love the Defenders. And that boy trickles down to loving books like The Champions. I mean, look at that lineup. You got Angel and Iceman. You got 2 original X-Men. You got Ghost Rider. You got Hercules, Black Widow. I mean, who came up with this? But somehow it's awesome. It's just 70s comics, Bronze Age at its best. But again, I wanted to show you a Black Widow comic that you might not see all the time, one you might not have. But it's the first issue of a great series. And so you might want to pick this up. While I'm on the tangent, the issue where she gets her new costume, or the modern costume, is an issue of Amazing Spider-Man you need to track down. There's a split book called Amazing Adventures, where half the book is Black Widow and half the book is the Inhumans. That's a book you need to track down. There's all kinds of great Black Widow stuff outside the main Black Widow title, outside of Daredevil and the Avengers. And this one's one of them. I mean, just check out that wacky lineup. I love it. Like I say, kind of 70s stuff at its best. This is a hard book to find in really nice condition. And I'm checking it out real quick. Tony Isabella, that was the name that was escaping me. If you're a Bronze Age comics fan, you know some Tony Isabella. You love some Tony Isabella. And like I say, it's a hard book to find in good condition, because most copies are well read. So again, just wanted to sneak in a little bit of a Black Widow in there while we're talking about Marvel Cinematic kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and make it live for Champions #1. You X-Men fans, Ghost Rider fans, Black Widow fans. Am I the only Hercules fan here?
Daredevil
Maybe.
Sold 183. Sold.
All right. Somebody picked up Daredevil 183. Talented, intelligent fan there. Set that Champions aside. Now let's get back to our what if theme. And I should say, before I get to the big guns, because these next two are, the keys, the tiers. A lot of these what if books have been popping up over the years and have been skyrocketing in value and have become really hard to find. Try digging up the one where Jane Foster becomes Thor. A few years back, it was just another issue of What If, and now it's a really, really expensive and hard book to find. And that's happening a lot with comics right now. You know about Kang, and as I say, while I'm on theme, this Marvel Plus thing is driving the value of a lot of books. And it isn't so much about, making money off the book. It's that when that happens, those books also, of course, become hard to find. You don't see them in your shops and whatever. So again, with the What If thing happening, there's a lot of spec on this title. And there's a lot of great issues in this series. I'm only showing you a few of them, but it's one of my favorite series. So those of you who aren't necessarily into the vintage comics, you can pick these up in trade paperback form, and I'd highly recommend it. Those of us who are into the classic comics, I'd really encourage you to research these issues. Much like Marvel Team Up and Marvel 2-in-1 and a lot of these other 70s books, it's just a spotlight of some of the very best talent in comics from the era. And like I say, it could go on and on for 2 more hours, but let's get back to the books. So our next one is, I'm speculating a bit that this is going to be a little bit like the Jane Foster one. This is What If Volume 1, number 16. What if the master of Kung Fu had stayed loyal to Fu Manchu? Master of Kung Fu, red hot right now, of course. Again, all of his appearances are going crazy. Everybody's seen the trailer. This issue is kind of rare for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mentioned the trade paperback. This issue is not collected in the trade paperback editions of What If. There are a couple of reasons for that I'll get into in just a second. So one, it's got Master of Kung Fu on it, and everything Master of Kung Fu is disappearing. Two, it's not in the trade paperback, so people who are completists need to dig this one up. And 3, it's just an awesome comic. It's written by Doug Mensch. And if you're a fan of anything ever, you have read and loved something from Doug Mensch. If you've only seen Batman the Animated Series, you love some Doug Mensch. If you're any kind of Batman fan, you know some Doug Mensch. There you go, DC fans. That's kind of the only nod you're going to get tonight. Sorry. But Doug Mensch, and it's just a great comic. So why is it not in the collections? Purely my theories. First and foremost, it's almost always some sort of publication thing. The publication rights expire from the time they printed the book to the time they make the collections. Fu Manchu is an established character that Marvel sort of either bought or kind of illegally borrowed through the duration of the run. And it's a big part of why you don't see a lot of Shang-Chi classic comics reprinted. Quite honestly, you also don't see a lot of classic Shang-Chi books reprinted because let's just say they haven't aged well. There's a lot of stereotyping that in the 70s was considered spotlighting aspects of culture, but their spotlights and their aspects have not really held up over time. So again, you don't necessarily see a lot of issues of Shang-Chi, being reprinted and being collected. But that isn't to say it isn't a great book and that there aren't lots of great issues of it. And this is one of them. This, again, copy is very, very nice. Really sweet copy of What If 16. This book is already hard to find. And now that the trailer has come out, it's going to be even harder to find, like all the other appearances. Again, everybody will be chasing, his first appearance, the last issue of the book, different things. This is going to be one that escapes people's radar for about a week. So grab it while you can. I've got it priced at top dollar because, to be honest, I don't really want to sell it. I would be, very happy to have it on my back wall as it goes nuts and as my phone begins to ring for it. So drop the top dollar now if you want to, or wait 6 months and when that price is the cheap price. But it will be gone by then. So let's go ahead and make it live. What If number 16. Cool. I don't know if you can see that, but great square spine, great white pages, white cover.
And we're live.
Master of Kung Fu. If you can see it up there, I've got a
already.
Master of Kung Fu number 100. What, the one in my hand?
Yep.
Oh, they bought it right out of my hand. I'll just put it down then. Good job, guys. Like I say, I know it's a little pricey for that book, but it's gonna totally be worth it. Dexstar says, "Love that cover. One of my faves."
That was for the Daredevil one.
Oh well, there you go. That was one of my faves too. All right, so now the big gun. The top book here, and I've gone a little fast. I've been a little excited because I like this What If. I usually take more time. I get into the writers, I get into the artists. But as I say, we got a theme, and the theme is What If tonight. And What Ifs, frankly, kind of speak for themselves. It's all right there in the title, so you don't need a whole lot of pitching from me. So let's get to the top gun. Again, I could have chosen all kinds of books from this series. Some of my favorite titles. The last issue of the run is one of my favorite Fantastic Four books. It's one of my man Anthony's favorite Fantastic Four books. The What If Gwen Stacy Had Lived is, of course, all-time classic. On and on. I could have picked so many gems for tonight from this series. But at the end of the day, there's only one to pick, and that's the first issue. This is the first issue of What If, Volume 1. What if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? This one picks up from Amazing Spider-Man number 1, of course. You all have a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 1, right? Maybe in reprint or in trade paperback. This is, again, one of my favorite books of all time, and you read this book and it just makes you die for the series. You saw this title and you were like, what if? And all of a sudden your brain started coming up with all these what if questions, and then Marvel couldn't get the issues out fast enough. 47 issues later, that was the end of the run. And it all started here when they become the Fantastic Five. Again, really nice copy of this book. admittedly, again, it's not that hard to find in, as a book, but in a really nice copy that hasn't been trashed by kids like I was when I was 8. And again, now that it's a Disney thing and everybody's talking about What If, the first issue is always the first to go. Unlike the other one, this one's probably very reasonably priced. I haven't checked the market on this in a little while, but I would imagine it's going up a lot because it's the first issue of the series, and it's a whole lot of fun. So grab some What If Spider-Man Joined the Fantastic Four. First and foremost, I always like to say during Causey's Classics and the books that I talk about the grade and I talk about all these things because I know these things are important to you. But what is most important to me is that all of these books are fun to read. On Causey's Classics, I just pitch books that are first and foremost a book you want to read cover to cover, a book you're going to want to read 5 times, and 5 years from now, you're going to be like, I want to go back and read those What Ifs. So yes, they're in really good condition, and yes, tying into the MCU, and it's got a lot of buzz, and a lot of spec, and all those things. But first and foremost, you're going to enjoy reading each and every one of these books, except maybe Champions. Some of those 70s books are kind of hard to get through because they're so cheesy, but I love them. Let's go ahead and make it live. What If, Volume 1, Number 1. Cool Spider-Man book, cool FF book. Like I say, I kind of hustled through it tonight. I could have spent half an hour on each and every one of these books because it's one of my favorite series. Again, I could have done twice as many issues of What If because there's so many excellent ones in the run. Again, do a little research and grab some of those other issues, track down those trade paperbacks, or get them off black-cat-comics.com because it's just a really, really fun series. So there you go. I hope, like me, you are equally excited about the animated series. I hope also, like me, you loved Black Widow and you're crazy about all this Disney Plus stuff because, that's what you've been listening to me yammer about for the last half hour.
And we just sold What If Volume 1, Number 1.
There you go. Is that a sweep for tonight?
We've still got Champions Number 1 left.
Oh, grab that Black Widow book, people. I know it's a little wacky, but it's a lot of fun. May even want you to track down those other issues. So if you love the old school books as much as I do, first of all, thanks for joining me and having a little fun with me this evening. A couple of things you should know about. San Jose Con is coming up. I think it's Sunday, August 29th. And here, of course, well, not here, we're in Rock and Milpitas, but right around the corner in San Jose. If you love the old books, get out to San Jose Con. Going to be a ton of old books out there. Want to give a shout to Heroes Comics in Campbell. My man Alan always hooks me up with great stuff for this show, for my back wall, for my personal stash. Also, if you love the old books, get out there. And of course, tune in the last Friday of every month because it's Causey's Classics. And we hang out and talk about the old books.
And tonight's the last night for Kickstarter.
Oh, yes. Had a couple other things. Black Cat Chronicles. Get your second issue of Black Cat Chronicles. It's on Kickstarter for just like till midnight tonight, right?
Tonight.
So if you're watching live, go to Kickstarter, find Black Cat Chronicles, pick up number 2, pick up number 1 if you missed it. And because that's super awesome. And just have to give a quick shout to Black Cat Comics Anniversary. It's been 19 years as of August 1st. We've been rocking Milpitas with the 4-color funny books for 19 years. It's been a ton of fun. Thanks for being along for the ride. So that's all we got for you for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Tune back in on Wednesday when we get back to the present with all the modern comics. I'm Mark Causey. This has been Causey's Classics. We'll see you next time in a brand new show. As I get into the artist.